draft here. And here we go to Battlefield of Eternity.
Woo!
We made it, J-Hal.
Probably, this is probably one of my, so from a team fighting perspective, this is probably my favorite, draft map. Other maps, I love the macro game in this, in Heroes, but, this one here, is there any other Battleground that's like this? That's even, remotely close to this?
I don't think so. Well, the emphasis that it's just like a brawl in the center of the map, and, you get so many different styles, but you're not drafting for laning. You're not drafting for clear. You're drafting to be able to kill your opponents, really. Sometimes you go PvE to try to poke down the boss, but that style is not as prominent as it once was.
But you've got to have a healthy blend,
yeah.
Right? You can't we see some teams that are just hey, we'll go in full team fight from the beginning.
I love it.
But then there's other ones that are oh, let's just we saw Lunara return in the Eastern Clash a lot. I'm wondering if people showed up for that. I mean, I like that a lot. I think that was one that I've been waiting for a while, and we just now starting to see it again. There's the Artanis ban though.
The respect. Powerhouse of a hero. Tassadar will be banned out here. So first pick Malfurion, an option on the table. It's going to be Vala.
Going in the Vala direction, that hunter-killer build that we'll see. See how well that fares. BOE though. I mean, you kind of got to feel good about Malfurion, potentially, if you want to go ETC. If you give up ETC, you give up kind of it's one of those things that's often forgotten, the attack speed buff on his trait whenever he uses an ability. So, things like that. But Greymane, definitely not a bad hero for this Battleground.
I mean, he's so good for the PvE when you're able to just go for the race, in the wolf form, but at the same time, we look at the rise of him with Cursed Bullet, the poke you can get safely with Gilnean Cocktail. I love, Greymane's spot in this game right now in general as a hero.
All it took was a little bit of armor.
Yeah, it's true, in that Worgen form. And Cursed Bullet, having two heroic options is so valuable. It just... so now they have to think about that warrior, right? Yes, the warrior pool is quite robust right now. ETC, Arthas. If they went solo warrior with either of those, Cursed Bullet is mega value.
I love the ETC pickup. I mean, you get so much more value out of this. He's got the self-heal. He's got big playmaking potential. And if you can follow up on that with a couple of these heroes like Vala and Li Ming, you can really put that damage onto somebody. But, the attack speed buff, the self-sustain, and the playmaking potential, it's just way too hard to pass up there. But taking huge control over that backline damage with Li Ming and Vala, that's a big power play early.
And we just saw Gear Gaming remove some of that safe poke. So Zarya's out of the picture. Possible to see something like a Johanna ban here.
I hope that a lot of the Western teams who are watching how strong Muradin still is, because he's fallen out of popularity, but he's still pretty dominant. So I think that's an option, I guess. But we have to think about heroes now that kind of have this... the damage mitigation, right? So Tyrael has a little bit of a rework to where he's more of an anti-mage warrior. Anubarak is there. And against Li Ming, I would really be worried about Anubarak here. Anubarak or Tyrael now are both options. We talk about Vala does go into that Q build with that Hungering Arrow, which means more ability damage as opposed to auto attack damage. So you can definitely throw a wrench into things. We might actually see an auto attack build from Vala just because Li Ming does so well. But Zeratul always threatening.
Zeratul ban is a little peculiar. I mean, I guess you gotta be a little afraid of the VP and the follow-ups that do exist with Twilight Dream and Roots, but yeah, you were talking about the threat from the anti-spell damage of one of those heroes. They got both.
Yeah. And that almost forces Vala to go more into an auto-attack build. And it's not, you're not giving up a ton. Yes, you miss that burst damage potential on the Immortal, but if you really struggle in the team fight, you'll feel it pretty quickly. And Anubarak and Tyrael, Anubarak I think is an excellent counter to Li Ming. The Beatles will eat up a lot of that damage, and you can basically eat a lot of that when it comes to the poke. You need a little bit of poke of your own, so potentially another ranged hero for them. But double anti-mage warriors is, I guess, not something I entirely expected. One, but they're going both.
Okay, you know, it's going to be good against the auto attack. We mentioned that that's now built into Frozen Tempest, and they're going to go for Rhaegar as that support. Want to have that big rush down, the Feral Lunge, and of course the Lightning Shield can help with the DPS on the boss, you know, with the short length heroes in particular. But it's going to be, it's definitely going to be an ancestral game. I don't think Bloodlust would ever work here as much as I love that ability.
Yeah, not quite. Tracer, though. I'm not really sure how I feel about the Tracer. You know, Li Ming will have her Force Armor at level 1, so the burst damage there not as scary. And if you see Rhaegar players, you can actually, if you time your Ancestral just right around a Pulse Bomb, you can basically, it's like nothing happened. So there's some weird things you can do with that. They better be really good on Tracer to make this work.
I mean, yeah, you got that big front line. Tracer doesn't seem like the optimal hero, but like you said, could just be a comfort pick. They're getting warmed up. They might feel confident. We're mentioning, you know, some of these players, Mysticles, you know, Alamau, Percival, have been around for a long time, and their opponents, Heroes of the Frat, not as well known.
Not at all. So it could be a matter of skill. I mean, sometimes we have teams that, you know, the names show up and the skill shows up, and it doesn't matter how good you draft, is that sometimes things are not going to be easy. So we'll find out what they can do here. This new UI and everything, to me, it's so different.
Oh, you're using the new UI?
Feels new, man.
Okay, well, here we are loaded on in. Taking a look at those level 1 talents for these players. It will in fact be that Monster Hunter build. A little surprised to see Colossal Totem at level 1 for the Rhaegar rather than Lightning Bond, just for the additional DPS with a hero like Arthas in the front line. He got 2 tanks in the front, but we'll see. Earthgrasp can be very good once you get to level 16.
Yeah, that's it's normally one of the big reasons you pick Rhaegar on here, to get that bonus damage when it comes to the Immortal Rays. Perhaps they feel that they have enough of that between Vala and Li Ming. But if you're gonna control your opponent, just dominate them. But right now, you know, we'll have the 4-man Arthas versus Tyrael as the solo laners. I don't know when, if ever, I would be saying that, but that is the meta that we're in.
Yeah, well, we got the 4v4. It's a strange solo lane for sure. Up top between Tyrael and Arthas. Tracer is rotating up right now to try to put some pressure on. One thing Arthas does not have is a quick escape. We mentioned this, you know, in the past as a reason why he oftentimes did not see a lot of prominence in the meta, because he doesn't have that power slide away. He simply has his own slow and control in the front. So they're going to put on some really heavy pressure as a result, punishing that fact in him. But my goodness, does he have a lot of self-sustain in this iteration of the game.
It's not too bad at all, but we can see the Warriors going in there. Marvin overextended. They will get a 1-for-1 trade, though. But Tracer coming in, looking to see if she can add another.
All right, that chain heal is going to be enough. Gildan Cocktail trying to find the kill. Did get a lot of good damage in there. And Balanan is kind of hanging out. I'm not sure if he's hearthing. Yes, he's going to hearth. Guess he was contemplating his options. 10 seconds before we do have this first Immortal phase.
Yeah, I really want to see how Gear approaches this, because they have Tracer and they have Greymane. Now, Greymane does well on the Immortal, but Tracer, she can stay around there, solo blink over if need be, but a lot of times you'll see her doing stuff just like this. The power slide over, the recall out, and you got to be careful, because if one more person's around there, you get a few more skills later, like Li Ming gets the Calamity, that's a dead Tracer.
Yeah, it's definitely something you got to be afraid of when that power slide is available. Arthas did get picked off in the top half of the map, but we do have these the Pulse Bomb going on in. Marvin very low, will end up going down to Skull Kid in the front, who finds another kill on Vala and then blinks away to safety. All the while, Mysticles has just about taken this Immortal to the halftime show.
Wow, that's Greymane at its finest. Just put him in Worgen for him, let him go to town. But that's what, you know, I kind of wondered, right before that started, I wondered where would Tracer kind of approach this, and it was pretty much all aggression. They got a few kills, and so nicely done there. I'm gonna have to talk to Needham about this level 4 talent. We're gonna have a talk after this game.
Well,
Victory.
we'll see. It's we've definitely seen some shifts in Malfurion builds across, like especially in level 16. You see a lot less of the tenacious roots being picked up. To go for the Trent, you know, he's gonna have DPS on the Immortal. It's okay, J-Hal.
But it's going to town on the structures right now. I mean, forget about range, forget about distance on the heels with a diving Tracer or diving Greymane. Don't need them. They'll stay alive. They can take care of themselves.
Okay, Khazra Camp spawning. Now that the Immortals have been cleaned up, will quickly be scooped up here on the side of Gear Gaming, who are in a commanding position right now. After that Immortal phase, they got not only one wall, but nearly the entire top wall as well from their split pressure and secured themselves that full level lead. 7 not on the table yet, so still an even footing. Ayla Mouse scouting out the top Khazra camp with the rotation on the way. So if they stuck around for this camp, it could get expensive. Ayla Mouse over the wall, pressure on, good power slide denying Mystic Cleese the actual engage there with the Worgen form. Enabling Kyle to back away.
Yeah, they had a really good bait attempt there. It just didn't work out for them. Arthas a little bit low on mana, not going to be able to stick around too long. Obviously, you can kind of sit in there for a while, but no mana makes that very difficult to do. Marvin scouting out that camp being picked up. We'll see if we have the full-on engage. The broccoli continues to just waltz around. That is...
I'm like, every time I see it, I'm like, new hero. Like, it's not something.
You know when you're feeling good, Jake, is when you go Wizen Duelist.
Yeah, it's true. Just the confidence. I mean, I think everything about their play, their talent choices, and their draft is kind of saying, hey, look, we're very confident in this matchup. And so far, I mean, so good. They're maintained that one level lead right now. They have lost that one here in the initial engagement where I believe it was the Nubarak and ETC that both died in the bottom lane, but we'll see the Fallen Shaman
just popped from the airplane finally. Like I was like, oh, I can hear again. Ooh, all right, this is when you get to see the race, but because that camp is picked up at the top, everybody's up there, and they are late to the party is Heroes of the Frat, and they are going to have a hard time catching up on this Immortal. Just kidding, they caught up quite quickly.
Yeah, that's what you call Vala with the Monster Hunter build, being able to power through that relatively quickly. Feral Lunge from Rhaegar does help a fair bit as well. As far as supports go, probably be number one next to what Tehran and Karazim. Also being very good at laying out the damage when it comes to the Immortal in different ways.
Speaking of, I think we got Greymane almost getting caught there. The root is in, but no follow-up as Personal coming to join the party. Arthas not able to make it out.
So hard there. And Trace is still on the boss. Oh no.
That camp. Absolutely no attention paid to it, and that'll actually take out an entire keep wall if it's not responded to, which it has to be now. I think the thing that you run into is that for Heroes of the Frat, you have a very strong Immortal coming at you. You're down a level and a half, and level 10 will be here very, very soon. And this is one of those moments where when you have something like Greymane and Tracer, and if you get Sanctification, that if all goes well for Gear Gaming, you might see Keep and potentially Game. I know it sounds crazy, but it's possible. Is Kyle going to go down there?
Okay. Nice roots there. Going to get a double kill. Pulse Bomb not even needed there. Skull Kid just throws it out to make sure that Cow doesn't end up losing his life. Immortal, as you mentioned, still has energy. Didn't even expend all of it on this top fort. Gonna make its way on forward to the keep wall and should be able to confirm at least both of these towers, maybe even some keep damage.
All right, I'm looking at the new UI. There's spinning squares around the heroics. I guess that means they're available.
Oh, you're an Ollie Ops. Yeah, that's kind of fun. But yeah, okay, they're gonna burrow charge in and whip here. The Immortal now on the keep. ETC hit by the Twilight Dream to lose his life. Ayla Mao might be sacrificing himself, will use the Sanctification just to buy space for this keep to be picked up, gets a nice heal. Skull Kid is dashing and dancing around the base, and wow, this is a dominant start. 3-4 level advantage nearly here for the side of Gear Gaming.
Yeah, not too bad at all. You know, like I said, if you get 1 or 2 picks in that situation and you're down 10 to the level 10 talent, keep is very much threatened, and you have to play that much, much safer. It's one of those instances that if you're Heroes of the Frat, you're going back to look what you could have done differently. That fort is basically gone. You need to fall back, defend at your keep wall. The keep wall at that point, because of what you've given up so far, is probably gone as well. You have to cut your losses, and instead of cutting your losses, you end up suffering quite a bit more. And you can see right there that Heroes of the Frat now finds themselves in a very, very tricky spot and very difficult spot to come back from.
Yeah, they just kind of have to hit level 10 and then YOLO for a fight at this point, because you can see how far they're pushed in. All they're doing is staying as 5, clearing this top lane, clearing this camp. Now they'll rotate. They know they have to clear bottom. Another camp on its way. Of course, they don't have to worry about catapults there, so it's not as bad of a case. But that last wave of minions they'll collect down here should give them level 10. Unfortunately, however, 13 is going to be here by the time they have level 10.
I mean, what they will have is Mosh Pit, so it's one of the things that, I mean, outside of Malfurion and Nubarak, which he'll be probably on the melee, there's not a lot of interrupts. Sanctification, if it's well timed, can deal with that, but there's not a lot of interrupts. Greymane and Tracer don't have those, so we'll see how aggressive they want to be, and there's the Mosh Pit locked in.
Game-winning ability for sure. But we just see the safe siege up, 1 tower taken out, and the party bush has been set up. Marvin walks right into it, Curse Bullet ripping through his health bar. We do see Cindergosa flying on in, Rain of Vengeance attempting to get some value, but we do see so much pressure put on the back. Ancestral will connect, but Rhaegar ends up going down, and Arthas trying to peel for his team will end up losing his life. 3-0 here for Gear Gaming, make that 4. Will they go and try to end it here? The Death Timers are still so short, J-How.
They are short, but they've pushed up so far. They're going to do a little bit of damage here. I mean, you don't have to go here. You can pretty much fall back and play, but what they're doing to their opponent right now is, I don't know. It's like somebody needs to call the law enforcement or something. Like, this is illegal.
Marvin!
Mystically literally running into the...
he springboarded to get away.
There.
He actually used the springboard to bounce away, and then use the Worgen form to use the disengage and retreat. Twilight Dream did end up getting interrupted, so...
They came very close. I mean, this is just a difference in skill. And right now, Gear Gaming showing very, very much more skill than their opponent. It's working out really well for them as catapults are on the core, and it leaves Gear Gaming to just drop back and get another free immortal. And this immortal, I don't actually know what's happening there. This will probably be game here in a minute. Yeah,
there shouldn't be anything that they can do, unfortunately, here on the side of the Heroes of the Frat. Halftime show engaged 50 to 100% right now on the immortal. 13-10. They're looking for that desperate mosh pit. They get a good 2. Cindergosa gonna fly above. Ice Block is there though. Nice sanctification in the back. Malfurion might be down, but everyone else is falling. Vala held onto her life for a little bit longer than expected, but Li Ming unable to do so. Balanad, the wolf battle, he loses it, and that's a 5-for-1.
Huh. Well, the Mosh attempt was good. There's actually pretty decent focus fire on there because they definitely tried to take down Malfurion, who, because they're 13, he had Ice Block. He lived for a moment, came out of the Ice Block, so it was actually a really well-timed Rain of Vengeance for our Vala player. I think that's Kyle. So it actually looked good at a few moments, but fighting that far down and against the team as skilled as Gear Gaming, it's just it's difficult to execute against something like that.
It's also difficult to defend with a 4% core or keep, and then a 100% immortal marching down when you're down 3 levels. This should be GG.
Does it say actually 4% on the keep?
It's just, no, but it's about 10%.
You just guessed?
Yeah, I just kind of yelled.
Grubby style? Alright, there's
oh
the
my goodness!
Ancestral. Oh my goodness. That looked like it hurt.
Oh, ABCs, they just got dumpstered, and Verticus goes down as well. You can just see the level advantage coming into play with how handily they're able to shred through the lives of their opponents. GG.
Diving into your opponent down that much, and they didn't even do it under their keep, which they would have had at least a moment. I mean, obviously the Immortal would have been there, but you still can give yourself something to play around. They just did it out in the open. It was just kind of a desperation move. They were just like, well,